Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a world that is completely bizarre, occasionally terrifying, and, well, absolutely incredible. I'm talking about the alien landscape that is your very own body. You might think you know yourself pretty well, right? But just beneath your skin, there are ancient survival codes, microscopic puppet masters, and pain responses that push the absolute limits of human endurance.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with unexplained bodily mysteries, move into creepy biological glitches, then take a look at the tiny invaders among us, and finally we'll wrap up with agony and extreme pain. Let's get right into it.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Unexplained Bodily Mysteries, the strange things we all experience. Okay, have you ever noticed your body doing something completely weird that even top-tier science struggles to fully explain? Take contagious yawning, for example. We've all been there, right? Someone across the room yawns, and suddenly, your jaw is opening totally against your will. Honestly, just talking about it might be making you yawn right now. Scientists know it's incredibly contagious. I mean, even dogs and birds catch yawns. But why? Well, one theory is that it's this ancient survival mechanism. Imagine a group of our caveman ancestors. One yawns, triggering the whole group to yawn, effectively acting like a primitive energy drink to keep the whole tribe alert. Other scientists think it's tied to empathy and mirror neurons, which actually perfectly explains why you're way more likely to catch a yawn from a close friend than from a total stranger.
And oh man, that brings us to that incredibly frustrating moment when your brain literally holds a word hostage. We call this the tip of the tongue phenomenon. Your brain absolutely knows the word exists. You might even know the first letter or exactly how many syllables it has. But the actual word, it stays hidden. Kind of like a TV remote lost behind the couch. Scientists believe this happens either because the signal to retrieve the word is just too weak, or your brain is frantically making guesses based on tiny fragments of info, trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. And you know what the funniest part is? The word almost always pops into your head hours later when you're doing something completely unrelated, like, I don't know, washing the dishes. Now, our brains are wired with even stranger sensory quirks. Get this. Surprisingly, only about 50% of the population can experience what scientists call frisson, or music tingles. If you've ever felt these random tingles down your spine or gotten serious goosebumps during the perfect part of a song or a really emotional movie scene, your brain is actually built differently. Brain scans show that people who experience this have extra wiring connecting their auditory processing centers directly to their emotional centers. It's basically like having a premium sound system built into your head that triggers a massive dopamine release, responding to beauty with literal physical chills.
But for others, the trigger isn't some epic movie soundtrack. It's incredibly quiet, specific sounds. ASMR, or Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. People describe it as feeling like tiny bubbles fizzing across your scalp and trickling down your spine. Soft whispers, careful fingernail tapping, or just the turning of a book page can trigger this. And doctors have actually found that ASMR changes your body physically. Your heart rate slows down, and your brain releases a wave of feel-good chemicals like dopamine. It's almost like your brain has a secret pleasure button. But science still isn't entirely sure why only certain people are lucky enough to possess this built-in spa day response.
Moving right along to Section 2, Creepy Biological Glitches. This is basically when your body betrays you. Our nervous system is a marvel, for sure, but it isn't always reliable. In fact, a staggering 90% of us experience something called phantom vibration syndrome. Seriously, your brain is likely playing tricks on you right now. You feel a buzz in your pocket, you pull out your phone, and absolutely nothing. What's happening is your anxious nervous system has completely rewired itself to be a notification detector. It's gotten so incredibly used to your phone buzzing that it literally invents fake buzzes out of thin air. Your clothes move, or maybe the wind blows, and your brain screams, "Notification!" Your nervous system is basically turned into a spam folder, creating ghost vibrations right on your skin.
Now think about the terrifying contrast between two of our most common sleep glitches. On one hand, we have sleep jerks. You know the feeling. Just as you're drifting off, your muscles relax, but your brain misinterprets this as you literally falling to your death. It hits the panic button and violently jolts your muscles awake. You're basically running ancient survival code from millions of years ago trying to stop you from falling out of a non-existent tree. But then we have the exact opposite nightmare, sleep paralysis. Here, your mind wakes up, but your body's sleep lock stays engaged. You are fully conscious, but trapped in a frozen prison of flesh, completely unable to move or scream while your brain takes your deepest fears and projects them as dark, shadowy figures right there in your bedroom.
And if you think your head brain is in total control of your body, well, think again. You actually have a second brain hiding in your gut.
It's this massive network of neurons wrapped right around your intestines, and it operates completely independently. But here is the craziest part. Trillions of bacteria live inside the second brain, acting like tiny chemical manufacturers. Amazingly, 90% of your body's serotonin, that crucial happy chemical, is produced down there, in the dark by your gut bacteria. Only 10% is made in your actual head. So when you say you have a gut feeling or you get butterflies in your stomach, that is literally your two brains fighting for control.
Which brings us to section 3, tiny invaders among us. Because, spoiler alert, you are not alone.
If an autonomous gut brain wasn't enough to freak you out, wait until you hear about the microscopic hitchhikers currently calling your flesh home. Globally, 30% of all humans are infected with a microscopic puppet master called Toxoplasma gondii. How do you catch it? Well, the primary host is the domestic cat. Yep, every time you clean a litter box, you're kind of playing Russian roulette with your mind. Once inside you, this parasite builds tiny cysts directly in your brain tissue. In mice, it literally rewires their brains to love the smell of cat pee so they'll get eaten. But in humans, it actually alters your personality. It changes your fear responses, messes with your reflexes, and makes you take way more risks. Think about that. Your personality right now might be heavily influenced by a parasite that is just trying to get back inside a cat.
Oh, and hey, before you go to sleep tonight, you should probably know about your facial roommates. Nearly every adult human has tiny, spider-like creatures living right inside their eyelash follicles. During the day, these eyelash mites hide deep in your pores, just sleeping and digesting the dead skin and oils they ate. But at night, that's when your face becomes their sprawling metropolis. They crawl out of the follicles and wander all over your face to mate. And this is the grossest part, because they don't actually have a way to expel waste, they just store it all up inside their teeny bodies until they die and decompose right there in your pores. Sweet dreams, right?
All right, final section. Section 4, agony and extreme pain. We're looking at what happens when the nervous system is pushed to its absolute limits.
To really understand our limits, we first have to understand the sheer incredible power your mind has over pain. Take the famous placebo effect. If you take a sugar pill but firmly believe it's real medicine, your brain actually manufactures its own natural painkillers called endorphins. We've literally seen it light up in brain scans. But it has an evil twin, the nocebo effect. If you firmly believe something is going to hurt you or make you sick, your brain can physically manifest real, agonizing pain based purely on that negative expectation. So yes, your brain has a built-in pharmacy, but it also comes with a built-in torture chamber. Nature, however, provides plenty of its own external torture devices too. Let's compare 3 absolute nightmares. First, cluster headaches. These are biological terrors, where sufferers describe the pain as a hot poker or a serrated knife sawing through their skull, and this agony returns every single day for weeks or even months. Then there's the Australian jimpy tree. Just brush its innocent-looking leaves, and tiny hollow hairs inject a neurotoxin that feels exactly like being stung by a swarm of wasps. And get this, that pain can incredibly last for up to 2 years. Finally, the bullet ant, which delivers a venom making you feel like your bones are being violently pulled out through your skin for 24 agonizing hours.
If you think that's bad, imagine taking a nice swim and meeting the fingernail-sized irukandji jellyfish. It starts so simply, just a tiny prick on the skin. You might even brush it off as seaweed. But 20 minutes later, you are absolutely sucker-punched by excruciating back and stomach pain. Your muscles start cramping so violently you feel like you're being twisted into a human pretzel. And then comes the psychological cherry on top, a medically recognized feeling of impending doom. The venom actually tricks your brain into an absolute certainty that you are going to die, making patients actively beg doctors to just put them out of their misery.
Or consider the terror from above, the executioner wasp. Let me be clear, this is not your average picnic pest. This is a massive parasitoid, roughly the size of a small bird, essentially acting as a 2-inch flying needle with a vendetta. When it strikes, it injects a harsh neurotoxin called pompilidotoxin. Victims describe the immediate hit as feeling exactly like being struck by a freight train of pure pain. But it doesn't stop at the initial sting. The venom initiates a grueling aftermath, punishing the body with a violent wave of fever, severe sweating, and extreme nausea. Feels like having your bones pulled out through your skin. As we touched on earlier, that is how victims describe the absolute peak of insect-induced torment, the bullet ant sting. This insect's venom is widely considered the most painful in the entire world. Yet, deep in the Brazilian rainforest, there's a tribe where young men actually use these ants as a grueling rite of passage. To prove their ultimate toughness,
They must wear gloves filled with angry bullet ants for 10 agonizing minutes. And it gets worse. They have to repeat this torturous process 20 times over several months. Unbelievable, right?
So knowing all of this, knowing what your body is capable of enduring out in the jungle, what your brain is capable of manufacturing in the dark, and what tiny hitchhikers are literally living on your face right now, it really makes you wonder. If your brain can invent fake phone vibrations and a microscopic cat parasite can completely rewrite your personality, what other alien mysteries are secretly happening inside you right now, just beneath your skin? Thank you so much for exploring this bizarre landscape with me today. Stay curious and keep learning.